There are moments in time that look ordinary on the surface, yet in the realm unseen they are already marked. December 27th, 2025 is not just a date on a calendar, it is a threshold, a crossing, a moment when what has been spoken in heaven begins to manifest on earth. For seasons, you have been living in a place that was temporary, a dwelling meant to sustain you, but not to define you, a shelter for preparation, not permanence. You wondered why the walls felt tight, why the ceiling felt low, why doors that once opened easily now resisted you. It was not because you were failing, it was because you were outgrowing the house. In Scripture, when God moves His people, He does not ask them to build first, He asks them to step. The move is decided before the house is revealed. The promise is spoken before the land is seen. December 27th is not the beginning of the move, it is the announcement that the move has already been decreed. The keys were forged before you asked, the door was framed before you knocked, the foundation was laid while you were still waiting. This new house is not merely a structure, it is a shift, a house where your voice carries weight. A house where your prayers echo with authority. A house built not on survival, but on assignment. The old house trained you. The new house releases you. Where you once endured, you will now establish. Where you once contended, you will now govern. Where you once hoped, you will now inhabit. Do not pack fear with you. Do not bring doubt into the doorway. The walls of this house are made for expansion, not hesitation. When the Israelites crossed the Jordan, the waters did not part until their feet touched the edge. So it will be now. You will not see everything in advance, but once you step, the way will open. December 27th is the moment you realize you were never late, never forgotten, never overlooked. You were simply being prepared for a house that could hold what you are becoming. The move has been decided, the address has been set, the season has shifted. Step forward. You are not entering a new place, you are entering the fulfillment of what was promised long ago. And this time you are not visiting, you are home. December 27th, 2025 is not presented as an ordinary point in time, but as a moment already marked beyond the visible realm. Long before it appears on a calendar, it exists as a decision that has been made, a line drawn between what was and what will be. Throughout history, there have been days that seemed indistinguishable from those around them, yet carried a weight far greater than their appearance. Such days function as thresholds, moments when one season quietly closes and another begins to assert itself. This date stands as that kind of moment, not because of human planning or coincidence, but because it represents alignment between timing and purpose. In many biblical patterns, God works through appointed times rather than random ones. Certain moments become vessels for change, not because people fully understand them at the time, but because they are positioned within a larger design. December 27th reflects that same principle. It is a moment when unseen decisions begin to surface, when what has been settled in the spiritual realm begins to press into the physical. Nothing visible may appear to shift at first glance, yet everything beneath the surface is already in motion. The significance of such a day lies not in spectacle, but in transition. A threshold is not a destination, it is a crossing point. It represents the space between familiarity and promise, between what has been known and what has been prepared. Standing at a threshold often brings mixed emotions, anticipation intertwined with uncertainty. That tension is not a sign of error, but evidence of movement. When a season is truly changing, comfort is rarely the guide. Instead, there is a sense of being pulled forward, even without a full map of what lies ahead. December 27th carries that pull. It signals that remaining where you are is no longer aligned with what has been decided. Throughout Scripture, moments of transition are often subtle at first. Abraham received a call without being given a destination. Israel crossed into promise only after stepping into waters that had not yet parted. In these accounts, the power of the moment was not revealed through immediate clarity, but through obedience to timing. In the same way, this date does not demand understanding, it calls for recognition. It asks you to discern that something has shifted, even if every detail has not yet come into view. What makes a threshold powerful is that it cannot be undone. Once crossed, the former position no longer holds the same authority. December 27th marks such a crossing. It establishes a new frame of reference. The questions that once dominated your thinking begin to lose their weight, not because answers suddenly appear, but because the context has changed. You are no longer standing in anticipation alone, you are stepping into activation. The internal permission to move forward is granted, even before the external confirmation arrives. This kind of moment does not announce itself loudly. It often comes quietly, with a nudge rather than a shout. Yet its impact unfolds over time. Looking back, you will recognize that this was the day alignment began, the day direction clarified, the day momentum shifted. What follows may take days, weeks, or months to fully manifest, but the decision point remains fixed. December 27th stands as that marker, a reminder that timing matters, that movement has a beginning, and that some days are not meant to be rushed past, but recognized as sacred crossings into what has already been set in place. The idea that the move has already been decided speaks to a reality that exists beyond human awareness. Long before circumstances begin to change, long before doors open or close, decisions are often settled in a realm that cannot be seen. What appears sudden on the surface is usually the result of a process already completed. This truth brings reassurance, because it means the transition ahead is not fragile or uncertain. It is not dependent on chance, timing mistakes, or personal strength. It rests on a determination that has already been made. There are seasons when life feels suspended, as though nothing is moving even though effort continues. In such times, it is easy to believe that progress depends entirely on striving harder or waiting for permission from the world around you. Yet many pivotal shifts are not waiting on external approval, they are waiting on alignment. The move being decided does not mean it has been visible. It means that the conditions required for it to unfold have already been established, even if they are still hidden. This pattern appears repeatedly in Scripture. Before Israel ever stepped into the land promised to them, it had already been declared theirs. Before walls fell, victory was spoken. Before provision appeared, it was named. In each case, the declaration preceded the manifestation. The people did not move to convince heaven. They moved because heaven had already spoken. In the same way, the decision for transition is not awaiting your argument or explanation. It is already settled. What remains is the unfolding. Understanding this changes how waiting is perceived. Waiting is no longer passive or uncertain. It becomes a period of preparation and positioning. When the move is decided, delays are not denials, and silence is not absence. What feels like stillness is often alignment taking place beneath the surface. Foundations are being reinforced. Paths are being cleared. Timing is being synchronized. Nothing is wasted in this phase, even when it feels uncomfortable or unclear. There is also responsibility that comes with a decided move. When something is already determined, resistance often arises from familiarity rather than fear. Letting go of what is known can be more difficult than facing what is unknown. The old environment may still function, still provide, still feel safe, yet it no longer matches what has been decided. This internal tension is a signal, not a warning. It reveals that the current space is no longer sufficient for what is coming. Because the move is already decided, it does not require you to force outcomes. Striving to control every detail often leads to exhaustion, while trust creates readiness. The role you play is not to engineer the transition, but to recognize it and respond. Obedience becomes simpler when it is rooted in understanding rather than pressure. You are not trying to make something happen. You are stepping into what is already unfolding. This also reframes uncertainty. Not knowing every step does not mean the path is unstable. It means the journey is being revealed in sequence, not all at once. When a decision is made ahead of time, the unfolding is intentional. Each step appears when it is needed, not before. This protects you from moving too early or carrying weight you are not meant to hold yet. Ultimately, the power of knowing the move has been decided lies in peace. It quiets the anxiety of what if and replaces it with confidence in timing. You are not negotiating your future, you are aligning with it. What lies ahead is not a possibility to be earned, but a reality to be entered. When the moment comes to move, it will feel less like a leap into uncertainty and more like recognition, an awareness that you are simply walking into what was already prepared long before you realized it was yours. There are seasons that are never meant to last, yet they serve a purpose that cannot be skipped. The old house represents one of those seasons, a place that provided shelter, instruction, and endurance, but not permanence. It was sufficient for who you were at the time, but not designed to contain who you were becoming. What often feels like limitation is actually preparation wearing the disguise of confinement. The walls were close not to restrain you, but to shape you. In that old house, you learned how to survive pressure. You learned how to pray when answers were delayed and how to stand when support was minimal. You discovered resilience you did not know you carried. Every narrow hallway forced you to walk carefully. Every low ceiling taught you humility. Nothing in that season was accidental. Each challenge functioned like a tool, carving capacity into your character. The discomfort was not punishment, it was training. Many mistake preparation for failure because it does not look like progress. The old house often lacks visible growth, recognition, or expansion. It feels repetitive. It feels quiet. It feels like effort without reward. Yet preparation is rarely glamorous. Seeds grow underground before they ever break the surface. In the same way, what was happening inside you mattered more than what was happening around you. Strength was being built where no one could applaud it. The old house also exposed what could not move forward with you. Limited space reveals excess quickly. Attitudes, habits, and expectations that might survive in abundance become burdens in tight quarters. That season forced decisions, what to keep, what to release, what no longer fit. It taught discernment. You learned the difference between what was familiar and what was necessary. That clarity is something only preparation can produce. There were moments when you asked why things felt stalled, why progress seemed slower than others around you. But preparation is personal, not comparative. The old house was tailored to you, not to anyone else's timeline. What would have crushed another might have been light for you, and what felt heavy to you might have been easy for someone else. That does not indicate inequality, it reflects precision. Preparation is measured according to assignment. The danger is staying too long in a place meant only for a season. When preparation is complete, what once protected can begin to restrict. The same walls that sheltered you can start to press against you. Restlessness begins to rise, not because something is wrong, but because something is finished. This tension is a signal that the purpose of the old house has been fulfilled. Ignoring that signal leads to frustration, but recognizing it leads to movement. It is important to understand that leaving the old house does not dishonor it. Gratitude and transition can coexist. You do not dismiss the lessons learned there, you carry them forward. Preparation is not erased when a season ends, it is activated. What was practiced in private becomes applied in expansion. What was learned in limitation becomes wisdom in abundance. The old house trained you to value substance over appearance. It taught you that growth does not always announce itself. It showed you that endurance often precedes increase. These lessons are essential for what comes next, because the new house will demand stewardship, not survival. Without preparation, expansion becomes overwhelming. With preparation, it becomes sustainable. Looking back, you will see that the old house was never meant to be a destination. It was a classroom, a training ground, a refining space. You were not stuck, you were being shaped. Now, as the season shifts, you are not abandoning safety, you are stepping into readiness. The preparation is complete, the purpose fulfilled, and what once contained you has done its work. The old house served you well, but it was never meant to be your forever. The new house is far more than a change of environment. It represents a fundamental shift in position, responsibility, and authority. Moving into it is not simply about comfort or increase, but about standing in a place that matches what has been formed within you. Where the previous season emphasized endurance, this one emphasizes stewardship. Where survival once consumed your energy, purpose now directs it. The new house reflects an elevation not only of space, but of assignment. Authority does not arrive suddenly, it grows quietly over time. Long before it is recognized externally, it is developed internally through obedience, consistency, and faithfulness in small things. The new house signifies the moment when that internal authority finds a fitting environment. You are no longer operating under constant pressure just to maintain ground. Instead, you are positioned to influence, establish, and build. This is the difference between merely holding on and truly inhabiting. In the old season, decisions were often reactive. Circumstances dictated choices, and urgency shaped responses. The new house introduces a different rhythm. Here, decisions carry weight because they shape outcomes beyond the immediate moment. Your voice matters in this space. What you permit gains momentum, and what you refuse loses access. Authority in this sense is not control, but responsibility. It requires awareness, discernment, and intentional action. With greater authority comes expanded reach. The new house is not isolated, it is connected. What happens within its walls affects others beyond them. Influence flows outward naturally, not through effort, but through position. This is why preparation was necessary. Authority without maturity becomes instability, but authority grounded in experience produces order. You are not stepping into this shift untested, you are stepping into it trained. The new house also alters how opposition is encountered. In previous seasons, resistance often felt personal and overwhelming. Now, it is approached from a place of standing rather than striving. You no longer fight to prove your place, you protect what has been entrusted to you. This changes the posture of engagement. Confidence replaces defensiveness. Clarity replaces confusion. You are no longer asking whether you belong. You are acting because you do. This shift in authority also redefines boundaries. In the new house, not everything has access to you. Discernment becomes essential. You recognize that availability must be managed, and that focus is a form of stewardship. The authority you carry allows you to say no without guilt and yes without fear. This balance is a sign of growth, not distance. It reflects an understanding of value, both yours and that of others. Importantly, authority in the new house is not about elevation above others, but alignment within purpose. It is not dominance but direction. You are positioned to serve effectively because you are standing where you are meant to stand. The confidence that emerges is quiet yet firm. It does not need validation because it is rooted in calling rather than comparison. The new house also requires faithfulness in maintenance. Authority must be sustained through humility and consistency. What is established must be protected, nurtured, and governed wisely. This season invites you to build with intention, knowing that what you construct now has longevity. Temporary thinking no longer fits. You are creating systems, habits, and relationships that are meant to endure. Ultimately, the shift the new house represents is internal as much as external. You move from reacting to leading, from enduring to establishing, from hoping to inhabiting. The authority you carry is not new. It has been growing within you all along. The new house simply provides the space where it can be fully expressed. What once felt like pressure now becomes purpose, and what once required survival now supports significance. Faith often reveals itself not in certainty, but in movement. One of the most challenging aspects of transition is stepping forward without having every detail clearly defined. The desire for full clarity is natural. It offers a sense of control and safety. Yet, throughout spiritual history, progress has rarely followed complete understanding. Instead, it has followed obedience, movement rooted in trust rather than explanation. This principle remains essential when entering a new season. There is a difference between recklessness and faith. Faith is not acting without wisdom. It is acting without fear when direction has been given. It does not deny uncertainty, but it refuses to be ruled by it. When clarity is partial, faith supplies the courage to move anyway. This kind of action does not eliminate questions, but it prioritizes alignment over answers. The willingness to step forward becomes the catalyst for what comes next. In many biblical accounts, the path only became visible after movement began. The waters of the Jordan did not part while the people stood still on the shore.